You've played video games? Well, I've been gaming since the DS era, and in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the best games I've ever played in chronological order.
Don't kill me!
Starting off on the DS, we have Drawn to Life: The Next Chapter, an excellent 2D platformer where you draw your character, weapons, and tools, and proceed to beat levels, puzzles, and bosses. I think it was pretty soon after this that I got a hold of my mum's brand new iPhone and instantly downloaded Fruit Ninja. Such an excellent game. You literally chop up fruit. If you don't know this game, you might as well live with Patrick underneath his rock. Next up, we have Skylanders Spyro's Adventures on the Wii. This was a game I used to play all the time with my brothers, and trying to convince my dad to buy little playable action figures was my first introduction to pay to win. So that makes it a top game for me. At some point in primary school, I was introduced to some new friends that were also into games, and I distinctly remember going over to their houses all the time and playing Black Ops 1 multiplayer on split screen. I used to win all the time, and people would get so angry with me and claim that I was screen cheating, and that's exactly what I was doing.
Why did you... what you did was not nice! It's not nice to do that!
The other split screen game that I loved to play with my friends was Halo 3. There was just something so fun about Infected, and playing that with friends was scary. On top of that, the campaign was excellent. Eventually, I got my own Xbox 360, and this is where the gaming addiction really ramped up. I distinctly remember going to EB Games with my mum and trying to convince her to get me Modern Warfare 2, and she was all like, "You didn't have to cut me off. Think like it never happened, that we were nothing." But eventually, I convinced her, and this was the greatest campaign that I've ever played. I felt like a back-to-school kid in America because I was obsessed with guns. I couldn't afford Xbox Live at the time, so I would just play split screen on Rust with my brothers, and this satisfied my bloodthirsty needs. But there was just something so awesome about learning to quickscope and getting all those calling cards on split screen that I just loved at that time. I would later play it on Xbox Live, and it was just as great. At a similar time, I remember getting into Minecraft, and little did I know, but I'd be playing Minecraft for the next 15 years. I just thought I'd let you know that I do have a survival multiplayer server available right now. Links in the description. I would love for you guys to join, build epic bases, beat the Ender Dragon. You know what you need to do. I'd love to have you around. Join the Discord. I'll see you around. Eventually, I got Black Ops 2, and this time I had Xbox Live, which meant I could grind the multiplayer. I got Prestige Master in a matter of weeks. I would come home after school and instantly start grinding out camos because my goal was that glistening diamond camo. Eventually, I got it on the SMGs, and this was a newfound high camo achievement. On top of that, I got really good at quickscoping with the ballista. Sorry DSR fans, the ballista was definitely better than the DSR. I didn't even play the campaign, I skipped right over to zombies. I remember learning how to train zombies on town, and playing transit by myself was somehow the scariest thing of my life. On top of that, I distinctly remember Buried. Buried was excellent. That chick in the window, the little witch lady, she was the scariest thing of my whole entire childhood other than Slender Man. It was around this time that I then got everybody's favorite looter shooter, Borderlands 2. This game is one of the greatest games that I've played ever. I've sunk thousands of hours into it just on Xbox 360 alone, and even more later on PC. I got all my characters to level 50, then level 61, then level 72 OP8, and then many years later, they added the Commander Lilith DLC, which added more levels, and I got those as well. They somehow managed to ruin this franchise with a terrible movie and some mid-games, which is pretty upsetting.
Look at that! A ladder! Unfortunately, my design doesn't facilitate this type of...
Oh, son of a bitch!
They better not butcher Borderlands 4, or else this would completely kill the franchise for me. At some point in year 7, I ended up breaking my leg, and this meant I had to absolutely grind out video games. And the game I decided to grind out was Battlefield 4 on the Xbox 360. I didn't have an Xbox One yet, but Xbox 360 did suffice. This still holds up as one of my favorite multiplayer games ever. Jumping off the Shanghai Tower whilst it was falling down is still amongst my favorite gaming memories. I ended up coming back to the game on PC many years later, grinding up past my original level. If you were wondering, yes, I am an AEK movement sweat on Operation Lockers, and no, I do not touch grass. Fast forward to 2015, and I just got my new upgrade, the Xbox One. On top of that, Black Ops 3 just released, my new favorite game. I skipped over the campaign, did not play that at all, and just went straight to the multiplayer. And I got good, really good. Probably the best I'd ever been at games at this point. I made cool emblems, I got Dark Matter, I got to Prestige Master level 717. I absolutely loved the Ripper Specialist. Chaining together kills had never been so satisfying. I played zombies less than the multiplayer, but I'll never forget how cool it was loading into Shadows of Evil for the first time. That music was just so sweet to my ears. It was super fun doing the Easter egg with friends and losing games to Margwas. After Black Ops 3, my next most addictive game was GTA 5. And I'm not talking about the campaign. I didn't even play the campaign, I'm talking about GTA 5 Online. I got rich, and I got rich quick. I was a GTA 5 tryhard. I was one of those dudes with the modded outfits who used to kill everyone on the map with jets. Eventually, after selling enough stolen cars and bunker supplies, I got myself an oppressor and continued to wreak havoc on the citizens of Los Santos. I actually know the streets of Los Santos better than I know the streets around my house. I would never kill people that were doing supply missions, only innocent players chilling in the streets. Top tier game, absolutely love driving cool cars around and killing noobs. I ended up getting a proper PC in 2019 and my Xbox days were dead to me. The games are cheaper from dodgy websites and Steam makes everything so easy. I have bought 364 games on Steam alone, even ones I had already played on Xbox. This is where I sank even harder into my game addiction. Skyrim released in 2012, and I'll admit, I got here pretty late. But what this meant for me is that I had access to a whole range of mods on the Nexus. I think I spent more hours troubleshooting mods than actually playing the game. But once I got my combat mods working, you know I went out and started slaying some dragons and shouting at Whiterun guards. Definitely one of my favorite sandboxes. At some point after this, I ended up trying BioShock Infinite, and I absolutely loved this shooter. I think I completed it within a day. After that, I tried BioShock 1, and this was so atmospheric. I'll never forget coming down to the bottom of the ocean and seeing Rapture for the first time. Eerie and an exhilarating experience. Sometime after the BioShock phase, I had enough of FPS games, and I wanted to try something different. So I brought Dark Souls 3, and I hated it. So I bought Dark Souls 1, and oh boy, this was one of those games where I finally understood Dark Souls. It just clicked. I didn't care about dying anymore. I loved the interconnectedness of the whole map. Stumbling across new areas and beating bosses gives you such a rush of dopamine. Sadly, I beat the game, and I had no idea that killing the final boss puts you immediately into New Game Plus. So I completely missed out on the DLC. Now at this point, I was super into this whole boss beating thing, and I had heard about Monster Hunter World, and I was pretty keen to give it a go. I had tried Monster Hunter Tri on the Wii, but I was too young at the time to understand what was going on. Now I had a fresh outlook, and yeah, it's safe to say that this game slaps. Something about hitting a monster in the leg for 30 minutes and using its corpse to upgrade my gear so that I can smack more monsters in the leg for another 30 minutes just never really got old. Great game that I suck at. Just as I was starting to think that my boss beating addiction was over, Miyazaki decided to drop one of the best games of the decade, Elden Ring. I spent the first 3 hours of this game customizing a character, which I never saw again once I put on armor. But the beauty of this game is that you're rewarded for exploring, and that I did. I ended up beating the game and getting rune level 450. Then I found out about New Game Plus. I did 7 journeys just to get the highest difficulty. Then, just to top it all off, a year later, they delivered me the most beautiful DLC with some of the best boss fights of any Souls game. So yeah, safe to say, this game is one of the greatest games that I've ever played of all time, ever. And I definitely got my money's worth.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
This brings me to my #1 game of all time, Doom Eternal. I currently have 5,555 hours in this game, and it goes up every day. I already know there's someone stupid in the comments that's rushing over there to say something dumb like, "Oh, but Dan, how do you have 5,555 hours in a single player game?" Wrong. This is a multiplayer game, and the best multiplayer experience that I've ever had. This is my digital crack addiction. I've already made a video explaining how this game destroyed my life, but here's a brief overview. Basically, people hated battle mode because it's super unbalanced, but a few of us who really loved the game decided to completely overhaul the multiplayer experience. We made a mod that added new playable demons, upgrades, and completely rebalanced the whole thing. It's an extremely fun game mode now. Some of the guys have even put together a Slayer vs Slayer mode, and it's like Quake, but actually good. Definitely a must play. Join the Discord if you're interested. We will help you get good. That's my list of the best games. I hope you enjoyed.